ways has Ayn Rand influenced the culture for the better? I think Ayn Rand has profoundly influenced the culture around us for the better. Politically, she made capitalism acceptable. In America in the 1930s to the 1960s, capitalism was a dirty word. Capitalism was rejected by both intellectuals and politicians and by the voting public. And capitalism re-entered the vocabulary in a positive way in the 1970s. And that continued into the 80s and 90s. She was responsible, to some extent at least, for what was called at the time a shift to the right, a right in those days reflecting a shift towards more individual rights, the protection of individual rights by government. So even politically, she has had some influence. She has impacted many politicians. She has made them a little bit better. Certainly, the shift to the right didn't bring us to laissez-faire capitalism. Certainly, the politicians that have been influenced by Ayn Rand have now become advocates for the kind of capitalism we believe in. But I still think they're just that much better than they would have otherwise been without her. I shudder to think what America would be politically without Ayn Rand. But I think the bigger influence, the far more significant and substantial influence she has had, is on the millions of individuals who have read her books. Many of those individuals have been inspired by her writing. While they might not have become a full objectivist, they might not have embraced her philosophy completely, they were inspired to live better lives, to be more productive, to take their own values and their own interests more seriously. I wish they were more consistent. I wish they had taken her ideas and studied them more deeply. But even at the level that they took inspiration from Rand, it had a profound impact on their lives. Think about how many people in Silicon Valley, particularly in its early days, were inspired by Rand. Almost every leader of every major company and several of the leading venture capitalists in Silicon Valley read Ayn Rand in their youth, and it inspired them to make, build, create great things. Many of them give her credit for that inspiration. I've met many businessmen, many of them of some of the CEOs of some of the largest companies in the United States, who have told me, Ayn Rand inspired me. Ayn Rand helped me become the kind of businessman that I am today. Reading Atlas Shrugged inspired me to be independent, inspired me to think of my own values, inspired me to greater acts of productiveness. And to the extent that the business world in the United States is a massive, important, crucial part of the culture, Rand has inspired that culture. It's hard to tell how much of the self-help culture, how much of the focus on self-improvement and caring about self ultimately was inspired by Ayn Rand, but I would not be surprised if it was. So in my view, Ayn Rand has already had an immense, immense impact on the individual lives of Americans and really people all over the world, and an immense influence on American culture. It has certainly slowed down what seems like persistent decline. It has certainly bought us time to try to create, to try to make real a reversal of cultural trends and lead us towards a world Ayn Rand would be proud of, a world of reason, individualism, and laissez-faire capitalism.